What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about Harry Potter, the British version versus the American version. This is not something I ever thought about somehow. During my childhood, obviously Harry Potter is a humongous, pivotal, ridiculously impactful book on so many American and British kids who are now adults. It's crazy how that works. But growing up reading the book as a little American me, I never thought about it as British literature or that Harry Potter occurred in locations that had to do with the UK and Great Britain or anything like that, that the characters were British. Even when the movies came out, I didn't think about that much, and it just kind of blows my mind. Why didn't I think some of it was that because it's about, fiction and wizards and magic and stuff that isn't real. Anything that was kind of strange to me or unfamiliar to me in the books, I just chalked up to, oh, that's just something the author made up, or like even in the movie, I still remember to this day. In the movie, the first movie, Harry says on the Hogwarts Express train ride to school, they are eating the every flavor beans, and he says, "Oh, this one is bogey flavored." In the movie, he says it like that. I got one that was bogey flavored. Whereas in America, that word doesn't mean anything. That is gibberish. That is nothing to us. I didn't understand what he was saying. He was saying booger flavored, like the thing in your nose, a booger that comes out of your nose, and it's disgusting. But they pronounced it different, and there were a million other things like that where I was just like, oh, that's some wizard thing, But no, it wasn't a wizard thing. It was just a British thing, I think. Anyway, that's why I'm so excited about this video today. I'm a Harry Potter fan, and top 10 things that apparently I missed in Harry Potter, British versus American. Totally, I'm into it. Let's check it out.
Depending on where you're from, you and I could have had very different experiences with Harry Potter. Hi, so I'm a big Harry Potter fan. I've been to all the midnight releases of the books. I've been to all the midnight releases of the movies. I've seen it countless times. I've read it countless times. I can actually count it 2 to 3 times. Either way, no matter how many times I revisit the franchise, I always find new things that I didn't notice before.
Oh, look, he's even wearing... is that a Harry Potter sweater? It sure looks like a sweater they'd wear in Harry Potter. Okay.
Today, I'm going to share a lot of those with you, especially as not a lot of my friends know any of these because some of them are very specific between the American and British copies. Now, I feel like I have to start off by saying I'm American, and so it's the Sorcerer's Stone for me, okay? That's what I grew up with. I read the Sorcerer's Stone and I saw the Sorcerer's Stone. That was the film for me. A lot of British friends, they will argue with me and say, well,
Yes. Before he even finishes this, and yes, I see that his sweater is Ravenclaw. I don't know if I can trust this guy, if he's a Ravenclaw, by the way. Anyway, we'll get over that, and we'll get past that. And, apparently the first book has a different name in the UK. The Philosopher's Stone? We were given Sorcerer's Stone. Do they not have sorcerers in the UK? In Britain, no sorcerers? Is it philosophers? Why that little change? Maybe he'll explain it, but why that little change? I've heard of that one.
Obviously, it's supposed to be philosophers. What did they say in the film, Evan? Fun fact, if you didn't know this, in America, the film Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, they say Sorcerer's Stone. Every single time they filmed it, they had to say philosophers for the Brits and sorcerers for the Americans. So there's 2 different versions of the film. And so we're living in our own bubbles thinking, oh yes, sorcerers. It is sorcerers. Now a lot of British...
Wow! I didn't know that. That genuinely surprises me. I thought it was just a book thing. They had them do different takes in the movies? And say it the 2 different ways? I never knew that. That would... If someone had shown me the British version of the movie to, like, gaslight me and say, no, they always say Philosopher's Stone. They could have just shown me that version with the actors saying Philosopher's Stone, and I would be like, what, but that's not, and then it would just be like, because I wouldn't have known there were 2 versions. Wow.
British people will say, oh, it's because Americans, they're too dumb. They don't know what a philosopher is. Incorrect, okay? That's not the real reason. Rowling did want to keep it philosopher, but someone over at Scholastic was like, listen, JK, all right? I know you're just kidding here, but American kids, they don't want to read a book about philosophers. Philosophers, bleh, boring, learning, Socrates, you know what I'm saying? Now, sorcerer, ooh, magical, sorcery, that's what the kids are going to read. And you know what? It worked.
You know what? I might actually tend. The book was so good that I think it would have found its success no matter what. It was like inevitable. But I get it. I get it. Americans, American children, sorcerer does grab you in a different way as a little American kid than Philosopher's Stone. Man, that's a little difference, but it's a lot actually. Wow. Okay. All right. Apparently the original is Philosopher. I'll acknowledge that. Okay.
For me, okay, I picked that book up. I was like, sorcery, that's got me all over it. I don't want to read a book about Aristotle. I don't give none of that. Nope, not having that. So that's why, personally, I still say sorcerers. That's how I grew up. So please forgive me.
Yeah.
Please forgive the bones. It is not bonfire night, okay, England? Bonfire night is Sunday. I'm filming this on Saturday. This is unacceptable. The French would say this is not bon. Right? You're fired. Now, you may not have noticed this, but when it comes to wand magic, in the first
Ooh.
film, Harry Potter literally did none of it correctly. There is not one instance in the film where he used his wand to perform any spell and it worked. You might think of, oh, Wingardium Leviosa? Well, that was one instance where he did use his wand to do a spell, but it didn't work, right? He was really bad at it. At one point, he literally brought a lantern in to the library. Lumos, anyone? Hello? He didn't learn that yet.
It's a good point. I never thought of that. Is this a difference between the British and American versions, or did Harry not cast a spell for both?
Of course, it was his first year. We're gonna give him a break. I just think that's really funny that in a film about magic, no magic from the main character. Didn't know how. Also, if you recall, there's a scene in The Sorcerer's Stone where Fred and George throw snowballs at the back of Pearl's head, which, now that you think about it, literally was just hitting Voldemort in the face. A bit funny. Maybe that's how he lost his nose. Who knows? You'd think with all the witchcraft and wizardry, you could, do some magical plastic surgery, get your nose back. I don't know. Now, depending on how big a fan you are, when it comes to Voldemort, you may have noticed that in the films, they do not pronounce the T in his name. They say Voldemort. Now, I somehow, reading the book and also seeing the films, never noticed until, one of the last ones where I went, that's weird. They're not pronouncing his name right. As if I am the go-to guy on how to pronounce.
Is that true? This is turning into more of a analysis of the Harry Potter movies, but I'm okay with that. I'm really here for the differences between British and American versions, but this is okay as well. A little analysis is fine. I certainly never noticed the lack of pronouncing the T in Voldemort in the movies.
Names, okay? Hermione? I actually pronounced it Hermione when I first read it, and thank God for Victor Crumb. But basically, it is a French, derivative. Voldemort's supposed to have the word death in it more, so don't pronounce the T. Either way, I'm still going to pronounce the T because I'm uncultured. Sorry, I'm an English speaker, okay?
Huh.
We like to pronounce the T's at the end. We're not French. We only make some letters silent, like K's or N's.
Oh, is that kind of a French thing? The pronunciation? Never thought about it like that either.
Or P's. Okay, never mind. Now, I feel like most fans would know that most of the book was written by Rowling in a small cafe in Edinburgh, but some people may not know that there are some characters that were literally names from a nearby graveyard she passed by. Tom Riddle is one of them. You can still find that in Scotland. Visit the graveyard of Voldemort. I guess he's dead now. He's got dead in the name. Now he's dead. Weird. When it comes to
I would imagine a lot of authors actually use names from life. Maybe not the name of people they know directly, but names from life would make sense.
To any book, localization is always a really important thing. So because the author was British, they had to transcribe a lot of the words and expressions into American English. Why? We just don't have the same expressions. One word that seemed to upset a lot of Americans, myself included, because I didn't really know what it meant, was git. I believe filth was referred to at one point as...
Yeah. I remember that. Oh my goodness, this is taking me back. I haven't actually read the books in a long time, since I was a kid, honestly. But I do remember that, the use of the word git, G-I-T, git. The books actually kind of taught me some British slang, I guess. Because in the context of the book, calling people a git that was in the American version, I understood somehow what it meant, even though no American ever said that ever. That's funny.
As like an old git. Obviously, I used context clues, and I was like, an annoying man, maybe. It just means idiot, but a very mild form. It's not really a swear, just British people use. I haven't even heard the word git in England since I moved here. Maybe like once or twice to refer to like an animal. Just, oh, you move it, you git. Or get on, you git. I don't really know. Another one I find really funny is the password to Dumbledore's office. Something that you think should stay the same. I mean, that's something so small. But he named it after his favorite muggle sweet from England, a sherbet lemon. Guess what? No one in America knows what that is, and if you say sherbet lemon, I'm thinking of a big old tub of sorbet. All right, I'm thinking of delicious lemon.
So they kept that in both versions? That's so funny. That's the perfect example of something. There were probably a bunch of stuff in the books that were just British stuff that I chalked up to being wizard stuff. If Dumbledore's password was sherbet lemon, I would, and that was his favorite sweet. I would definitely thought, oh, that's a wizarding candy, you know? That is funny to think about.
Lemon flavored sorbet. So they changed it in America to lemon drop. I know what a lemon drop is. That's a nice little hard sweet. It's not the same though. I've had sherbet lemons in England, and oh my.
Okay, so that they did change it to lemon drop. I don't remember lemon drop being in the book either. Yeah, that is an old American candy. I would have been equally as confused. Sherbet lemon drop. Huh. Almost wish they had kept it.
Gosh. Also one of my favorite sweets. Delicious. One thing that was not localized between British and American was the floor labeling system. If you're unaware of this is something that still angers me to this day. In America, we say the first floor is the first floor you walk into. The second one would be the one above that. You know, the second floor you go to. In England, the system is a bit different. The first floor you go into is the ground floor. And then the first one is the first one up. So it's basically 0, 1, 2, 3, as opposed to America's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so, in the books, anytime it's described the first floor, that actually means, one floor up, whereas in America, we would immediately think of the ground floor.
Oh, wow. If they didn't change that, I definitely thought, whenever they were referring to the first floor, that they were talking about the ground floor. Oh, wow.
I mean, it's a small thing. You might have not noticed, but there you go. If you can't tell, obviously I side with the American one on this. Now, though most all characters in Harry Potter were completely fictitious, there was one that is a real person, and that person is Nicholas Flamel. The guy that made the Philosopher's Stone in the first place, that's actually a real story. That's what it's based on. I think that's why most people are angry that the Americans call it Sorcerer's Stone, because the Philosopher's Stone is a thing. There's like this old folk story about this guy who's a real person, Nicholas Flamel, who was so good at alchemy, he invented this thing that allowed him to live forever. Hooray!
What? Really? Is that an actual British folklore story? Is it Nicholas Flamel? Or Flamel? Anyway, that would almost make it weird for me if I was reading this fictional book about wizarding and a guy creating a Philosopher's Stone, and then a reference from real life was used. I almost wouldn't like that. I'm kind of glad I didn't know about that one.
Good job. Let's call it Sorcerer's Stone instead. Yeah. Something you may not have noticed. Do you remember that iconic scene in the Chamber of Secrets with Moaning Myrtle? How she's showing such a wide range of emotions like a very talented actress. That may be because the 16-year-old character was portrayed by a 36-year-old actress. Bet you didn't know that. Wow. If you did...
No.
I don't believe you, okay? Just don't.
I guess they did CGI. They CGI'd the character into a ghost. So it was no way you could tell, but okay.
Now, before moving to England, a lot of the stuff described in Harry Potter was this magical fantasy for me. So much of it was this work of art by the genius J.K. Rowling, and only she could have invented such amazing things such as prefects or houses or King's Cross, St. Pancras. But in reality, those are all real. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know those were real places. I moved to England and I found out prefects are a real thing, okay? The whole system, there's so many references in Harry Potter to British culture that I just don't think Americans can get. Like, you'll still enjoy them.
What? Yeah. Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh. Yes, there's so many things in the books now. Prefects, houses, a bunch of stuff now, I'm convinced. That Americans just, we don't have those words. So we just thought we thought J.K. Rowling made them up for the book. And they're just British terms. Oh, that is funny. That's so weird to think about. That there's still millions of people right now, this second in America, who will never know that. That is interesting.
The books and the films, massively, yes. But there's so much more that you will enjoy if you get the little references to British culture in it. First of all, to put it in American terms, boarding schools are a popular thing that people can go to in the UK, and they have housing-type systems, similar to Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, Gryffindor, Slytherin. Everyone has their own houses, and everyone's kind of competing and saying they're the best house. That is one of the coolest things I've ever learned about England. Wow.
What? What? That blows my mind a bit. The houses of Harry Potter are iconic. Like Harry Potter invention to Americans. Houses. If you talk about houses, you're talking about Harry Potter. If you say in America, if you bring up houses. Wow.
Wow. Also prefects, the head of house, that type of thing. That is a real thing as well. It's basically like a hall monitor, kind of. That is a thing. It's not just magic, okay? Real stuff. Now, everyone can understand the concept of the night bus. I mean, that's a crazy, kooky bus that takes you downtown. Well, guess what? It is, I think, a bit funnier after going on the night bus in England, in London. I mean, you take a night bus trying to get home at night, and it's a horrible experience, okay? It's swerving all over the place. There's a drunk guy that's drooling on your shoulder, and you don't know how to tell him to get off because you're too polite to say anything about it. That is the experience of a night bus. And so when I read it in the book, it didn't really mean much. I was like, oh, okay, cool. What a fantastic little story.
Exactly. We're just reading all this stuff like, wow, that's really imaginative. How did she ever come up with the idea of a night bus?
When I read it after moving to England, it was like, no. Triggered. Now, you might recall that in the Wizarding World, spellotape can be used to fix any objects that might not be able to be fixed by a spell, which, as an American, cool. What a cool thing that she invented. What you don't know, it's a play on words, okay? In America, we call adhesive tape Scotch tape. In England, they call it sellotape. Sellotape, spellotape. She's making a pun. She's doing the pun. I didn't even get it. You can't get it. There's so much more you can enjoy. So,
wow.
Now, one fact
Wow. Yeah. Now I'm thinking British kids had a whole different experience reading Harry Potter. Probably not all that different, but it definitely probably felt, very much closer to home for a British child or adult. I'm not judging. Probably felt very much closer to home, more personal, with all these references that you would be able to understand about where you live and where you grew up.
I find that nobody that I know knows before I tell them is that Hogwarts Express was meant to leave from Euston Station, not the iconic King's Cross St. Pancras. When describing the station in the book, Rowling was actually describing Euston Station, but could not remember whether or not it was Euston or King's Cross, so went with King's Cross instead. Well, worked out because I feel like King's Cross is a better station in my opinion anyway. But yeah, that one in itself is pretty darn cool. Stop.
Is King's Cross a real station? Is that based on a real place or something? Thought that was made up too.
The works of fire. Literally. How long can you have fireworks in this country? It has been going on for 3 hours! Now, I feel like most every Harry Potter fan would have noticed this at this point, but just in case there's some of you out there that haven't, we'll set the scene. It's the Goblet of Fire. Someone has put Harry Potter's name in it. In the book, Dumbledore, he calmly requests, Harry, did you put your name into the Goblet of Fire? In the film, did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire? There's a bit of, not calm there.
Yeah, I know this one, actually. I've seen memes of it. Where in the book, Dumbledore literally asks it very calmly and then screams it in the movie delivery. I don't mind it. It's kind of funny.
Well, those are all the fun facts that I noticed, but please be sure to leave me a comment on how many of those you didn't know, and also, if there's some that I missed that you noticed, please tell me. I'd love to hear about that. And lastly, be sure to Wingardium Leviosa subscribe, because you know what?
I like that. This was by Evan Edinger? Evan Edinger? I liked it, at any rate. Gotta give it a like. Anything else? In the books, Sirius gave Harry a mirror that would let them communicate. In Deathly Hallows, Harry had a shard of the mirror hoping to see Sirius, and Steve Everforth thought, okay, we're just talking about nerdy Harry Potter facts, which is good, but I should probably just read those on my own time. Oh, it's not just boarding schools that have houses. Almost every school has them. Even primary school has houses. Wow. Really? Yeah, stuff I... when you say American versus British, you really mean American versus everyone else. Oh boy. Maybe. Oh. There is no philosopher versus sorcerer debate, because philosopher wins every time. It's what JK wanted. It's the original title. Okay. Alright, fine. I'll give it to you. Fine, okay. Anyway. Anyway, I enjoyed this video. Wow. There were some things here he was just going over for fun facts about the movies and the books. But some of this British versus American differences blew my mind. And what blew my mind even more was thinking about how some of these things in the books that made it into the American version are just British references, just normal British culture. And all of us Americans, especially as children, reading this, never knew that, so we just thought it was part of the fantasy world. That is funny to me. That is really, really amusing to me. Kind of cool, in a way. Harry Potter has definitely been one of the biggest British exposures in American history, I'm going to say. In American history. One of the biggest British influences on Americans, for sure. For sure. So, that's pretty cool. Anyway, if you thought this video was pretty cool as well, feel free to give it a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.